Hey everyone, welcome and welcome back to Spit Talking with Thalia. And then today's episode is actually going to be our first episode of our series that we're going to have here called Talk Your Spit. Now, with Talk Your Spit is where I give you guys the opportunity to email me something in reference to what's going on in your life, relationship issues, work issues, whatever, and we can talk about it here. I am not a therapist. The only thing that I am is a nurse, and I'm not here to give out any medical advice. I'm just here to just talk. So anyway, so today I feel like we can kick it off. I do have a few letters, a few emails to go over, but it won't be in this episode today. I recently saw something on Instagram in reference to this, who the fuck did I marry series or whatever. So I've noticed everybody has been kind of like talking about it. I have yet to see any of the parts. I heard that there are several parts to this, who the, F did I marry. Yeah, so I felt like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can, spark a conversation here, and see what happens. So yeah, so in this episode today with Talk Your Spit, we will be discussing who the F did I marry? And the person that listed her several parts, her name is Risa Tessa or Tisa. Risa Tisa, I think. Yeah. Yeah, Tisa. Anyway, so we're going to discuss her issue today and go over her parts. Now, I'm going to have to break this whole series up because I think there's 50 something. And girl, we're not going to be doing those things today. So, we'll get to a halfway mark. A halfway mark and break it up. So, yeah, let's talk. But before you get all cozy though, there is a subscribe button. Alongside of it is a notification bell. I would like for you to do the things and go ahead and click both of them. They go together. If you're not on YouTube, you can find me on your podcast platforms. Currently, right now, I'm really just on Apple, but I'll figure out the rest of how to make sure that the podcast gets posted on, Spotify, whatever. I struggle with that. But nonetheless, I'm over here on YouTube and on Apple. And go ahead and follow or click that subscribe and notification bell. Go ahead. It's right over there. Click it.
Yeah, so beautiful, so lovely.
So before we get into Miss Risa Tisa's situation, if you are interested in submitting an email with your concerns, it will be anonymous unless you state, hey, Thalia, you can go ahead and give my name or whatever. You can throw my social media handle in there if you'd like to. Only if you give me permission is the only time I will go ahead and post anything. But if you are interested in sending me your issues and concerns about whatever's going on in your life, I'm going to list the email address right here. It would also be in my description as well. So you can go ahead and email me there. All right, so let's get started. So from what I gather and what I can pick up on everybody else I've seen who has been talking about this is that you have this young woman who was on Facebook dating, I think. Not really sure, but she was on one of those dating apps or whatever have you. She met this dude. This dude charmed her or whatnot. And she decided to make a whole 50-part series to this thing. So we shall see. I am not in the spirit to criticize the lady. We have all done dumb stuff for love. Let's just see if we can identify with her with certain things that we have, made mistakes in our own personal life or where she could have done better. But we are not going to break this woman down. She is clearly aware of what she did wrong in this whole situation. But again, I've seen, I think one or two parts because people were talking about it. But this whole 50-part thing, I'm gonna watch it right along with you guys. So let's get this cracking. So this is part 1.
Please excuse the hair, but here is part 1 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I met my ex-husband around March 4th of 2020. We met on Facebook dating site, and we also matched on Hinge. I did not realize that he was on both under two different.
I've been with the same person for 16 years. That's dating and marriage included, right? Combined. Whoever invented the app Hinge, like that by itself wouldn't make me want to go to it. Like, have y'all ever seen the movie Hinged? Yeah, that's the vibes I get from just even the title of the app. No, thank you. But also, that was a red flag too. So you met him on Facebook and on Hinge. Like, okay, let's continue.
I did not realize that he was on both under two different names. So one was his actual name, and the other one was a variation, like a nickname that he called himself. Different pictures. So it was a running joke between us. Oh, you ain't even recognized that you had matched with me on Hinge. No, I didn't. And also that should have been a red flag. By the way, you will notice in this story, I called it the United Nations of red flags. It is so many red flags that, I mean, you would have thought I was colorblind because I ignored all of them. So.
But quick question though, and this is to everybody that's out there, hell, self-included, because I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you. There has been many a day where I had to sit back and ask myself, like, yo, who the fuck did I marry? Like, damn, like there's certain things that you don't see when you initially date a person. You are very like blindsided by, the awe of them, the things that light you up, or you might be, and I want to say in desperation to find a special somebody, but please, list down in the comment section, like, how many red flags do you need to see in order for you to pause and be like, you know what, this may not be a good idea? That's a question. How long does it take for you to sit here and open your eyes and notice that, this is a bit much?
Anyway, back to the story. We met around March 4th. We exchanged phone numbers. He called me and we talked on the phone for the first time. In the first phone call, he told me that he had just moved to Georgia from California, from San Diego. His job had transferred him because he was being transferred in as the new regional manager for a major condiment company that is based here in Georgia. I'm not going to say the name. And so we also talked about his childhood. He told me he grew up in Philly. He's from Philly. Both of his parents were deceased. This is the first phone call. Both of his parents were deceased. His father was a Philadelphia police officer. His mom was a teacher. He also told me he briefly lived in Augusta with his family. He had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He also had 2 half-brothers on his dad's side. First phone call. So I'm just giving you guys the backstory. This was the first phone call we had. So we talked about family. We talked about friends. We talked about our jobs. At the time, I was working at Georgia State Patrol. And he knew this, and he just thought that was like, wow, so you work with troopers all day. Yes, I did.
Because I see that she took advantage of her whole 10 minutes on TikTok. So the first conversation, like, what do you talk about the first time you meet somebody? I'm trying to think, like, the first time when I met my husband, it was on Christmas Day, and we met at work, but it was brief. But the second time we actually had a conversation, like, we talked for hours, but to this day, I can't tell you did we talk about family? We might have. But she said it as if, is there anything wrong with that? With him talking about his family first? But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Also in that phone call, he explained to me that he used to play football. He explained that he used to play arena football. I know nothing about arena football. I know about NFL. I know about college. Go Dogs. But I don't know anything about arena football. So he explained to me that he used to play arena football. He used to work at Apple in the off season of arena football. And I remember thinking on that phone call, oh, okay, like, good for you. I don't know anything about arena football. And I believe I did tell him that. I don't know anything about arena football. that'll come into play later on. So he told me, I just moved here. My job is paying for my housing, and they're helping me to look for a house. He was like, right now I'm in Gwinnett County, but I'm trying to look for a house, ideally in Atlanta, like Brookhaven, Sandy Springs. He was like, I really would like to move out there. And so I thought, that's great. You're looking to get a house. You just moved here. He was like, I don't really know too many people here because I spend all my time at work, and, this job is really demanding. So that was our first phone call. We talked more. He talked a lot, which took me by surprise because I'm not really used to men talking more than me. He eventually asked me out on a date. Our first date was set for Saturday, March 7th, 2020. He asked me what was my favorite restaurant. I said Cheesecake Factory. And so we agreed to go out at the Cheesecake Factory.
Did she giggle because that whole situation with the girl was like, "Oh, I'm too good to eat at the Cheesecake Factory"? Yeah. I would like to just touch base on that really quick. For those women who feel, and I had downloaded a video, for those women who feel like they are too good to go to the Cheesecake Factory or whatever other place that a man plans, or whoever your significant other or potential significant other is, stop being an ingrate. Like, it's not cute. Let me just throw that out there. It's not cute. I just saw one and I was thinking about, talking about it with you guys or whatever. But I don't know, Burger Shack, something Shack. And this chick was like, well, look at me. When they do that, right? When some women do that, at least it was only been women that I have seen. When they come off like, oh, well, look at me. How dare he take me here? You're setting yourself up for all types of not compliments, because that's not where I was going. All types of criticism, because it's like, well, yeah, look at you. What about you makes you so great that you can't go to a Burger Shack or to a Cheesecake Factory? Like, on a first date though? Maybe I'm too old school. I don't understand a good conversation, sitting down, just drinking coffee. I saw another one, like a whole Starbucks one. I don't love Starbucks, but to sit down and just talk, even just sipping coffee, like, that's dope to me. I don't know why people feel like a good conversation isn't good enough to rock with. Like, who are you to get spoiled on day one? What makes you so great? What makes you worthy? I don't know. That bugs me.
In a location that was in between. I lived in Clayton County at the time. He lived in Gwinnett County. I realized that if you don't know anything about Metro Atlanta, that makes no sense. But basically, we lived about 45 minutes apart. So we agreed to meet at the Cheesecake Factory over at Perimeter Mall, which is in an area, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody area. I was excited. Like, I called my friends and was like, I got a date, blah, blah, blah. We'll see how it goes. First conversation was good. Hopefully he looks like his pictures, because, that's always an issue with online dating. Hopefully he looks like his pictures. So on my way to our date, I took 285, and literally right before I got to Boulder Crest, the exit for Boulder Crest, I heard a boom, and I lost control of my car. Thank God that not thank God, but I knew what to do. So I did not crash, but my tire blew out. So I called him and I said, hey, I am so sorry, but my tire just blew on 285. I'm slowly making my way off the exit. I believe I pulled into a Chevron gas station, and I said, I got to get.
I am a believer of God, right? I feel like the the Lord gave me a gift of vision. Can't see all things, but there's certain times in my life where things are so clear that God speaks and says, "Hey, you may not want to do X, Y, and Z. You may want to separate yourself from certain folks or do whatever." Right? He gives me signals, signs, or whatever. This tire blowout. I don't understand how you would want to proceed to do anything. Like, if my tire blew out on the first date, I'm calling everything off. I can't even function right now. One, I'm probably all shook up because one, if my tire blew out and I didn't crash into anything, I'm like, Lord, I thank you. Maybe I need to just relax and go home and lay it down. I'll call you later. I would have went home on that donut, right? I wouldn't have the patience to even push it forward. So for there to be 49 more parts to this whole story is crazy to me because I just we wouldn't have had a date. I'd have been like, you know what? That's the Lord speaking to me. Let's regroup. We can revisit this another day, but I'm not doing this today with you.
He kind of paused, he got quiet, and he was like, tell me exactly where you are, drop your pen. So I dropped the pen, and he came to the gas station. Got out the car, and I was so relieved that he actually looked like his pictures that I was like, oh my God, he's actually attractive, because he's like 6'4", 6'5". Oh, also, man, I apologize. So let me go back to the first conversation. Let me add something. He did tell me in the first phone call that he was divorced, and that his ex-wife, she had 2 children, a boy and a girl, who were teenagers, young adults. I think the girl was about 20, and he said that he had a very close relationship with his stepkids, but that he and his ex-wife had divorced because she cheated on him out in California. And so coming to Georgia was a new beginning for him. She was still out in California. The kids were still out in California. And so, he was like, I can't stand her, but I still want to be in the kids' lives. I have to put that in there because that will come back later. So this is just setting the stage. Again, that first conversation we talked about family, job, friends, how he ended up in Georgia, me being in Georgia, the things that, I would think people talk about in the first conversation. All right, now back to the tire blew out. So he shows up to the gas station. He changes my tire, which I just thought was the sexiest thing in the world. And then he proceeds to say, hey, I found a tire place around the corner. You need to get another tire.
Why is changing a tire sexy? If you identify yourself as a woman and you do not know how to change a tire, I'm going to suggest that you do, right? I'm not saying that men shouldn't change their tires. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not attractive that a man changes your tire, but you don't want to be a damsel in distress, period, ever, right? Because one thing, you don't know this individual from a can of paint, and you're dropping your pen where you are. At this point, y'all just talked on the phone. You don't know how this dude is going to be in real life, and you dropping your location, and no. Learn how to change a tire. I'm not going to even sit here and recommend for you to get AAA, because AAA will have you sitting out there for 300 plus 5 hours. No. Learn how to change your own damn tire.
Like, you can't drive on this donut. So he followed me to the tire place, and then helped me get a tire, paid for it. So I was definitely like, wow. And so the vibe was good. So anyway, get the car.
Is that a red flag? Listen, I'm not saying, I don't know. This is the thing. I'm the type of person who wouldn't be offended if you didn't pay for my tire, right? I'm like, yo, you don't know me. Like, there's no need for you to spend buku dollars on me. You don't know. I don't know what kind of car. She didn't say what kind of car she was driving. So who knows how much that tire was. But for a person to just say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get this tire for her on the first meetup, is that not suspicious to you? Or is it me? Because I'm not coming out of pocket. I don't care how fine you are. I don't care what it is that you're saying to me. I am not coming out of my pocket to buy you absolutely anything. I'll buy you something to drink. Hell, I even feed you. If I'm the woman and I'm asking you out on a date, oh, I'll pay for you, right? But a whole tire? Nope.
I get the tire fixed. We follow each other to the Cheesecake Factory. over in Perimeter. We hold hands walking into the Cheesecake Factory. So in my mind, I'm like, this is just this. Oh my God, I had butterflies. That's the look of a woman who had butterflies. So I had butterflies. And we go in, there's a long wait. And so we sit outside and we just talk. And the conversation's great. And this is where he tells me what it is he's looking for. He tells me, you know, I believe at the time he was 42. He was like, I want to get married and it be for real. He's like, my parents were married 40 plus years before my mom passed away. And I want that. I want marriage, family, a house. Like, that is what I want. He was like, I'm as a man, I'm ready to get married, but I want it to be for real, because the first time, you know, it really hurt me when she cheated on me. So he's telling me everything that I wanted to hear. And so he was like, what is it that you want? And I said pretty much the same thing. I was like, I'm ready to get married. Definitely want to have a family. And I want to marry my best friend. So we both put on the table that we wanted marriage. And this is the end of part 1.
Again, I think that she's utilizing all of her 10 minutes. I don't know how much patience I have to to discuss it. I have to see whether or not this is going, if it's going to pick up. Again, people have been talking about it, so I'm going to try to give it a chance. But what I feel like I have to do for me and my audience, for you guys, is to chop it up as much as possible, because it's going to be long. It's going to be long if I continue to go at this pace. So I'm going to just I might just keep in the red flags as I see them, but, you know, we'll see, because it's long. So we're going to go ahead and go to part 2.
All right. Who the fuck did I marry? Part 2. So we both put on the table what it is that we wanted. We both had established we were dating for marriage. We were not dating just to date. We were not trying to be friends with benefits and none of that. So the dinner at Cheesecake Factory went really well. We laughed, we joked, we talked about people, which is kind of up my alley, my sense of humor. It was a good vibe. So at the end of the date, or excuse me, at the end of dinner, we sat in his car and he played this song for me by John Legend. I don't know the name of the song. By the time this video posts, I will put the name at the bottom. I can't remember the song. I just remember that John Legend was talking about, I think I met my wife tonight. And I thought it was a sign. So I was like, oh my God. So anyway, we ended up sitting in the car.
What did we say at the beginning of this episode? We are not going to pass judgment on anybody. And some of us just crave the idea of love. And I'm not saying that love isn't out there. Again, I've been with the same person for 16 years. And sometimes when he pisses me off, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'd be ready to leave him every other day, honey. So if I decide to go ahead and divorce this dude mañana, right? I would not be dating anybody. I think that solitude is very attractive. Just being by myself sounds good. You know what I mean? Like, getting to just reconnect with myself. I don't care what kind of individual you are. You can be next to Christ. For you to sit here and mention that you possibly met your wife on day 2 or conversation, like, that's crazy to me. That right there is a red flag. Like, you're bugging. You just met me. What are you talking about?
Was, where are we going to quarantine? So the question was, are we going to quarantine at his place? Which he had like a
Why would there be a question on where you're quarantined with a person that you just met after 2 weeks? Why is that even a conversation? Yo, I catch you after this whole quarantine. I don't know you. I don't care how many hours we spoke every night for 2 weeks. You're not quarantining with me. Quarantining with somebody that you just met, that by itself it's unsafe behavior. You don't know a person long enough in 2 I don't care what nobody says. In 2 weeks, I'm not gonna sit here front. Like, my husband said, "I love you" after 2 weeks. And even when he said it to me, I was like, "What'd you say?" He was like, "Nothing." Uh, what?
Studio apartment, but he kept telling me like this is temporary because I'm looking for a house. Like, he showed me the email from a woman who worked at the company where she was out on maternity leave, but she was putting him in contact with a realtor to help him find a townhome or a single family house. So I was just like, okay, this is definitely temporary. Like, he's not trying to stay here long term. And she was apologizing in the email. "I'm so sorry, this should have been taken care of before you got here, but it wasn't, da 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 da." I saw the email. I read it. I read the email. So the decision was,
Even though you may see an email, people can doctor anything. So it's like, well, he can send an email to himself. When people want to start showing you all types of paperwork for proof or whatever have you, like, to me, that's also a red flag all within itself. Like, you don't know me long enough to prove absolutely anything to me. So why am I looking at this? I don't care. If you're gonna buy a house, that's on you. You could live in a shoebox. That's your business, right? That don't have nothing to do with me. We haven't been together long enough for me to even care where you reside. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
we're going to quarantine at the studio, or we're going to quarantine in my house? First mistake I made. Well, there's a lot, but this was a mistake I made. So ladies, caution moment. During one of our dates, because keep in mind, in those 2 weeks, we were seeing each other quite a bit. Nothing physical or anything like that. Just two people who I thought were really on some, all right, let's see if this is going to grow into something. He came to my house. When he came to my house, I had a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome. He was in a studio. Now, I'm telling you guys all of this in order of how it happened. So some things I'm probably going to insert what I was thinking and the mistake I made. Can I turn this off? No. Okay, I still need that. And I say that to say that I did not realize inviting him to my home probably made his eyes go, oh shit, she's a keeper. She got this 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse, and I'm in like a little studio. Yeah, let me go ahead and pursue this. What I need to do to quarantine here. The decision was made, quarantine at my house. So the state went on lockdown.
But that should have never been a decision for anybody to make. Like, not even you. It's just, okay, well, I'll catch you in 2 weeks. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm annoyed by that, but it's like, girl. And even if you have a 3-bedroom house in comparison to his studio, listen. Again, I don't know if he was moved by the 3-bedroom house, but it's like, okay, so what? I'm gonna be quarantining by myself. So regardless of what the house looks like or space, it's just him, right? He doesn't have family locally. So him living in a studio apartment is like, okay, big deal. Who cares? But yeah, he should never made it to your house for sure.
Came and stayed with me in my home, and for the most part, in the initial beginning, it was fine. It was fine. The reason why I hesitate is because I grew up in the church. So for me, it was really like an internal struggle of, bruh, you always said you would never live with a guy unless he was your husband. And now you living with a dude and he ain't your husband. Like, it was a struggle for me, because
I like to get a little spiritual, guys. I really do. But even with that being said, if you're having this internal conversation with yourself that you feel like you're compromising your beliefs, who you are as a person, to accommodate an individual, that's like numero uno, red flag. No one should have you like compromising your thoughts, your beliefs, or whatever, just to appease them. No, no. And that should have been a sign if you know better. What was it about him that you felt the need to break your vow to the Lord? Right? Now, this is not even me passing judgment because Lord knows I had kids out of wedlock. You know, I am nobody to pass judgment on that. But you said it yourself that you had a conversation with yourself and with the Lord, and you said that you would never live with a person if it wasn't for your husband. What was it about this dude that you felt the need to go ahead and break that whole promise? Ladies, if you have set, and this is coming from years of just making dumb decisions, right? I'm knocking on 45. I'll be blessed to see it in July if the Lord blesses me to see it in July. When you don't listen to your initial instinct, that's when you F up the most. You know what I'm saying? When you just know that you're not supposed to be doing something, it's going to bite you in the behind every single time without failure.
I knew better. And don't come for me. I'm just telling you the way I grew up. It was like that. It was not sitting right with me. But at the same time, I didn't want to quarantine by myself. I did not want to. So there we go. So he moved in. We talked about the bills. Let me clear something up that I said in the other.
Alone time is precious time. Not having anyone call your name, not being bothered. Now, I don't know what it's like to be alone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I'm always with someone. Someone is always calling my name for something, right? I don't know the feeling, but I feel like if I had alone time, I'd probably be a happier person overall. For real.
Other video where I said he paid all the bills. He paid all the household bills. He did not pay my car payment, my cell phone, or my car insurance. He paid the rent because my rent at the time was less than $1,000. He paid the utility bills, and so when he's telling me that he's a regional manager, I was like, wow, okay, so you got money. And so he paid all the household bills. So my check really was just taking care of me, myself, and I. And I am not, this is where it's not going to make me look good, but it's the truth. It was intoxicating to not have to worry financially.
Okay, that's cool and everything, right? Everybody wants a mate that will help them feel secure, right? In every aspect of security. But again, I just find it so odd that somebody wants to jump all in so soon, wanting to pay my bills so soon. Like, I don't know, because I don't recall her putting a time frame of when, from quarantine time to him coming in to quarantine with her to when he started paying bills. And again, it's like, okay, you're just quarantining over here, my dude. When you start paying bills, I feel like it's like, stamping your territory, claiming what's yours. Like, yo, we don't know each other for you to be doing that, my guy.
And so I kind of pushed to the side the fact that, yeah, you shacking up, because it's like, but your page, you don't have to worry right now. Like, he's taking care of all of April's bills before April even comes, because this was still March. So we're living together, and I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, he's helping to cook and clean, and then we have a conversation about house. Is he still going to buy a house just for him, or is he going to buy a house where it's for us? Because we are going to try to make this thing work, be official, get married, have a family. So the question now on the table is, what are we going to do? Because I didn't want to stay in Riverdale, Georgia. I did not want to raise a family there. I refused to have a baby in Clayton County. So the decision was made. let's start looking for a house for both of us. Remember, he was already looking for a house for him, but then he was like,
Is anyone else confused? Are we still in week 2 of this relationship? Why are we talking about marriage and buying houses together? Did she say that? Did I miss it? Why would that even be a conversation? Like, if this man said he's buying a house, I don't think I would have formed my lips to even ask, hey, am I included in that? We just met. I shouldn't be included in that. Whatever house you're going to buy and whatever you qualified for, that's your business, not mine. I don't understand why she even thought that she should be included in that. Girl, you say where you're at, and he can go wherever he's supposed to be going.
you know what? We're together. I plan to marry you. Let's look for a family home for the two of us.
What? Yeah, okay.
For the two of us. He was like, this is how much I was approved for. That's when he showed me the Chase paperwork. It was a letter stating that and it had the Chase emblem at the top. He showed me a letter stating that he was approved for $700.
Okay, I know what I just saw was part 2. Then when I try to go into part 3, it said part 4. Okay, I don't know. Maybe she skipped a number? And this lady has millions and millions of views. It's crazy. All right, so I just finished doing part 2. So I'm going into part 3, 4, whatever it is.
All right, part 4. So we go to Home Depot, we go to Lowe's. I'm choosing all these appliances. He's taking pictures of the SKU number. We had representatives helping us, and he basically explained to them, hey, we're buying a house. We should be closing sometime in June. Can we order this stuff now? Can I put a hold on it? Like, what can we do? Because we're not ready for delivery. I stood there as the Home Depot rep said, we can hold it in our warehouse. Like, you can buy something and we can hold it. People do it all the time, especially with COVID. So I watched him pay. I want to say it was about it was either $350 or $500. I watched him pay a deposit on a whole new set of appliances for them, and they were going to hold it until we were ready for delivery. I watched this. So I was like, okay, good deal. Like, we got the appliances. Next, let's go to Rooms to Go and Ashley Furniture and went all around Rooms to Go. We went to Ashley Furniture. We went to American Signature. And I saw all these things that I wanted. Again, he's taking pictures of it. He was like, I can go online and order it. I didn't think anything of it because, again, I just saw that we held the appliances. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So April turns into May. May 2020 comes. This is where things start to get a little interesting. May comes, and obviously we had not done inspection. And I'm asking him all the time, what's the deal with the house? He was like, oh, because of COVID, they're trying to get someone to do the inspection. But the guy that they had, it was always something. The guy they had caught COVID, so they're going to have to get somebody else. And he's like 15 houses backed up, so it'll be a while. So at this point in May, I know I look crazy. In this point in May of 2020, I started recording audio diaries. I don't know why. It was something just made me just start recording my thoughts in an audio diary, and I still have them. And I would.
Well, the reason why you felt the need to record yourself, baby girl, because you knew that this dude was full of shit, right? You were praying and hoping that everything panned out, right? Who doesn't want to be in a solid relationship where y'all are looking for houses and building a life and doing all the things you couples are supposed to do? But things are moving way too fast. And when do you, I don't know, like, for anybody who's out there, right? I'm not trying to criticize homegirl. I'm just trying to critically think on how does your mind work when you are courting someone? What's the intention? How quickly should you do stuff? My husband was the only person I ever lived with, right? And we moved in together because our daughter came in 4 years after we started dating. And we were together, we moved in together, right? When I found out we were pregnant with her, like there really was no need to kind of like move in together. But she gave that push for us to move forward. But there was nothing about this whole process that would make you think that things are going way too fast. And then with this dude giving excuses for just about everything, you knew something was up. That's why you wanted to kind of like record the process. You knew this dude was full of shit. So why you didn't, cut it off right then and there, I guess is just that not letting go of the fantasy, the happily ever after. And it's 50, like, we're on part 4. Oh, it must get worse, but okay.
I would save them by the date, and I would just start talking about what's on my mind. So I was like, I knew there was something was nagging me, like, but I kept pushing it out of my mind. I was like, you saw, this is what I reminded myself. You saw him pay for the appliances. You know the house is under contract. You know that he told you that he's the one who put the house under contract. Why would, I remember saying to myself, why would he lie about that? This is so easy to verify. Why would he lie about that? Have you caught him in any other lie? And at the time, the answer was no. So I really was like, maybe you just aren't used to a guy who actually does what he's supposed to do. Like, I was questioning myself and then answering my own questions. So inspection didn't happen. Around mid-May, I found out I was pregnant. May 2020. When I found out I was pregnant, he was ecstatic and I was like, oh shit. The reason why I was oh shit is because, number one, I'm plus size.
Are we still stuck on the same year? Because, girl, you put yourself in all types of situations that... How old is she? He's 42 at the time, right? She never disclosed her age. We all do silly stuff, regardless of how old we are. So they were quarantined in March. So did they meet in February? Did she say they met in February? Or was it still March when they met and moved in together same month? So you got April, May, pregnant? 2 months in? Wow. Okay, let's keep this rocking.
Plus size. Number two, because of my age, I felt like it was probably going to be a high-risk pregnancy. And I wasn't married. And that nagged. I cannot tell y'all how much it nagged me. There was a lot of internal struggle in between. My family didn't even know that he had moved in at this point. I told them, that I was pregnant, went to the doctor, everything looked good. But again, because it was COVID, he couldn't go in with me into the actual room. So, doing any sort of ultrasound, doing the blood test, because my HCG levels were really high. So the doctor was like, hey, it might be twins. We don't know yet. You're still kind of early, along. They gave me a due date. The due date was January 26th of 2021. So, yeah. May, found out I was pregnant. So there was now more of a push into, we got to get a house. We got to get the fuck up out of here. I'm not having a baby in Riverdale. Okay? Nothing against Riverdale, but I ain't having a baby in Riverdale. So we need to find out what's going on with this house. And so he was on top of it. He had an answer for everything. He was like, I'm gonna call and find out what's going on.
I do have an issue with this. You recognize that you were being careless, right? One, you're sitting here questioning your moral compass because now you got pregnant by this dude out of wedlock, yada, yada, yada. Family doesn't know that you're living with dude. You worried about your age. This and the third, being a high-risk pregnancy. whatever, right? But while we rushing into something, again, we're not pausing to be like, let's slow down. We just want to speed this up. Okay, so we, because I know that some people that get real sensitive when women start attacking women, and I'm not doing that. But just critically thinking, right? And for the young people who are watching this, because she has 1 million views, people have paid attention, and I hope that they kind of like, found the lesson in the stuff in her foolery. Um, because she was also trying to pick up the pace on how things were moving. So you got to be held accountability. I think that the dude is getting more bashed. He's getting his, he's this and he's that. And from my understanding, I think he had put a video too that homegirl was lying. I'm not going to even decide on who was lying or whatever. I don't care that much. But I will say this. She was also pressing the issue of moving this along. So, you got to be held accountable too, boo.
On top of it, he had an answer for everything. He was like, I'm gonna call and find out what's going on, blah blah blah. He then magically told me about a week later, oh, they're going to do inspection on the house like in 2 days. So I was just like, okay, keep in mind, I'm taking his word for it. I'm taking his word for all this. So he's like, they're going to do an inspection. Once we get the inspection report back, then we will know what we're going to be responsible for. What are we getting ourselves into? So, I guess they did an inspection. He showed me an inspection report. Only thing that they said that the roof had just recently been replaced, which I remember he was very happy about. And the issues that there were for the house were minor. It was not a bad, because we did have a discussion about it. He was like, it's nothing that we can't handle. Then he said that we were set to close.
Question, why is he relaying all the messages to you about what's happening to the house, right? Shouldn't this be a joint effort? Like, shouldn't you know when things are about to happen, and then he's not the one just relaying the message back to you about what's happening? Even if he is the only person going on the deed or the paperwork or whatever have you, as his partner, at least in my mind, because David ain't doing shit without me. Sorry. I don't care what it is, right? If I'm coming with you, oh, most definitely, I'm all up in it. You're not relaying anything back to me, and I not hear it for myself. Because one, I don't care how long I've been with a person. I don't trust what anybody says. I have to hear it for myself. And it's cool. Everybody do your thing and how you feel comfortable. I'm a natural born leader, so it's very hard for me to let up and allow people to take lead and allow people to just be themselves, being honest. So if you and I are going into something together and I'm responsible for any portion of whatever that thing is, you are also going to talk directly to me. No one's relaying anything back to me, because if for whatever reason something slips up, it'll fall on me. And if I'm not aware of how things are supposed to be, all it's going to do is infuriate me. So how about I just hear it directly from the horse's mouth, so then there's no questions. And if I do have questions, I can ask that individual directly. So you just allow this man to kind of just spoon feed you information, and you just sit back and just say, all right.
We were set to close the end of May. He told me it was going to be a virtual closing. You're probably like, what the hell is a virtual closing? Because again, he's saying because of COVID, people are not closing in the office. They're doing a virtual closing where you would need to electronically sign the paperwork. This is what he's telling me. And so he was like, we're set to close like just before Memorial Day. And so for some reason, again, there's still that nagging part. For some reason, I didn't start packing. Anyone that knows me will tell you I hate moving. I've done it enough in my life. I hate moving. But I did not start packing up that house at all. I was just like, I'm pregnant. My body was changing so fast that it was like I can barely keep my eyes open half the day. And so, no, I didn't start packing. And I remember I did record, again, I was recording audio diaries just about every day. When something didn't sit right, I would verbally record it in the audio diary because I was like, I don't know what it is, but there's something. That was the theme of our relationship. I don't know what it is, but I know there's something. And so
I have never been the type of person to sit on anything. I would have to, like, if something's bothering me, like if there's a thought that I'm having that is just not sitting well with me, David will not get peace until I got it off my chest. Point blank, period, the end. I'm not sitting on anything. I'm not an explosive person, right? The only time that I would get revved up is if you're revved up and I'm like in defense mode. But if I have a question, I am going to ask it. Now, if you decide to lie to me, my radar is very good when I know that you're lying, right? I'm like, you know what? Maybe when you just lied, maybe you didn't understand what I was saying. So let me just ask you again, right? But I already know. And then I'll even let you hang yourself. I'll let you have it like, all right, well, at least I asked you. Remember what you said, right? You answered it this way. In the event that this comes back to me differently, oh yeah, then we're going to have a whole problem. But to just sit on a uncomfortable feeling, she's a brave one because it can be me.
I remember talking to myself in my little prayer closet because that's where I would do my recordings. And I remember thinking, what if we don't get this house? Like, what if he's lying? But again, there goes that thought process of, why would he lie about this? Like, who makes up that they're buying a house when in fact they're not? And then he's showing you all this paperwork. Like, come on, you can't be that jaded that you don't even believe what's in front of you. All right? So now we're going to go into part 5.
Are you guys even still with me? Because it's damn near an hour in. I think I'm going to get to 6. I don't know how. I mean, I'm invested because I want to know everything else that has happened, but I don't know. This girl was really hanging on to love for sure. Okay, so all right, let's move on to 5. What did I say? Yeah, this is 5.
Okay, part 5. Who the fuck did I marry? So I'm questioning all this stuff in my head out loud on my audio diaries. And then once again, I'm like, but look at what he's giving you. Like, he's paying, it wasn't a question about money. It was just a question of, are we really about to move into this house? And keep in mind, he's paying all the household bills. He still is. So we were supposed to close before Memorial Day. We didn't. There was an excuse. There was always an excuse with him. Always an excuse. And I didn't know enough about the process to question stuff because I really wasn't involved the way I should have been. And it was giving me a lot of anxiety. So I'm pregnant with a lot of anxiety. And if I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all, I was not expecting that I was probably going to have a healthy pregnancy because I was stressed. And what I was stressed about is I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't really involved the way that a normal relationship would be involved.
That's what I said. And I want this, anybody, male or female. If you have a feeling that something is wrong, por favor, open up your mouth. Please open up your mouth. Because now she was pregnant. And it's been such a long time since I carried a child. But you go through so many different emotions, right? And because I guess she was older, she said she was older. I don't think she ever said how old she was. But if he was 40 something, I'm going to assume that she was mid to late 30s or even in her early 40s. So she was she was already, if you're after 35, you're in that whole geriatric pregnancy anyway. And so you are at risk. So you potentially put yourself at risk with the extra stress. If you're unable to approach your partner and ask your partner certain questions, that alone is a red flag. No one should be sitting on any form of feeling and you can't ask your partner about it. Now, if you are afraid of offending your partner, then so be it. You have to have a certain delivery. Never be disrespectful, but always ask. If you feel like you were not involved, all you had to do was ask. Whatever this dude's name is, right? Listen, I'm feeling a little anxious about us moving into this house, whether or not we're going to move into this house. I'm worried about the closing. And is it okay? You shouldn't even have to ask if it's okay. But do you mind if I am more involved just to give me a peace of mind because I'm feeling overly anxious. I'm worried about this pregnancy. I don't want nothing to happen to me or the baby because I'm so anxious and stressed. Can I talk to the realtor? Can I oversee whatever, what's going on along with you? So then, that could ease my mind because that's how I would have said it. But homegirl sat with it. So let's see what happened.
Just being honest. So we did not close we move now into June. This is now going into June. Around June 5th, I looked at the house again on Realtor.com. I don't know what made me do it other than, and I don't mean to sound super spiritual. I know that people are like, you may or may not believe in God, but I'm telling you, I believe with all my heart, probably the Holy Spirit was like, look at that house on Realtor.com. So I looked at the house on Realtor.com. This was around June 5th. It showed that the house was off the market. And I remember being like, okay, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because ex-husband is telling me,
it means that it's off the market, baby. It means that the house was sold, baby. That's what it means. Oh my, you don't understand. The person that I am, right? She seems very sweet. Like, her and I could be cool. Because she just seemed like she'd be like a even balance to my spicy, to her calmness, because she's cool as a fan, baby. I would have had a whole it would have been mass hysteria. Because I would, listen, it's off the market. Hold on. He wasn't going to tell me? Like, I would have called and be like, yo, I'm looking. And it said the house was off the market. So we got keys?
Ex-husband is telling me we're about to close on the house. We're about to close. It's our house. We got furniture, he's also telling me that he's been in contact with the realtor, his friend, who was telling him, this is what was happening next. Here's what's going on. So the guy that we initially worked with apparently is completely out of the picture. But again, I was not heavily involved. So I'm just like, let me look at the house. I see it's off market. What the fuck does off market mean? Like, now I'm really freaking out. So it shows the name of the real estate agent for the seller. I don't remember her name. I called her and I said, I said, my husband and I, even though I wasn't married, my husband and I were looking at this house at 123 Main Street, and we really wanted to tour it, but now I'm showing it's off market. Is it not available? Or, I pulled that card, and she was like, oh, no, ma'am. The home closed yesterday. It closed June 4th. Again, there are certain dates I just remember. And I said, oh, it closed June 4th? I was like, really? And she said, yes, ma'am. She was
Listen, I'm only getting annoyed because I wouldn't have the time nor the patience to do all this. And I'm sad for her that she had the time to do all that. Because no, there's no way I could contain my annoyance. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I've never been in the business of doing a lot of investigating, right? When it came down to relationships, even before I got married. Quick story time. So there was this dude that I was dating. Jesus, how old was I? I met David when I was 28. So maybe 25, 26. Dude had me by 10 years, right? He was cool. Like, he was a decent person to kick it with. And he had gave me this like story that he was, his daughter's mother needed a place to stay, blah, 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 blah. And she had nowhere to go, so she had to stay with him, right? I'm like, cool. At that time in my life, I was very nonchalant about relationships. Like, it was nothing that I really like. I cared but didn't care. I was like, all right, cool. So it was this chick that was my friend at the time, and she was like, yo, why don't you pop up to see what's happening over there? Pop up for what? He said that he was housing his daughter's mother, yada, yada, yada. That's what he said. Like, ain't no one going up, going over there. She was like, if it was me, I would pop out of a bush. For why? I'm not that insecure within myself to sit here and hide in nobody's bush to see what someone else is doing, right? And I was like, no. But come to find out, he was playing both sides, but I didn't care that much. Like, he wasn't a loss. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a hurt. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, whatever. Trust me, I've been doing my thing too. So knock yourself out. If you feel the need to want to sneak up on your significant other, there's definitely no trust whatsoever. And it's not that deep. It's time to move on, which I did.
and she said, yes, ma'am. She was like, my sellers sold the house, and I was like, oh man, okay. Well, I said, my husband and I really wanted, we love the pictures of it, and we're getting ready to start a family, so I would have loved to have been able to have the opportunity to see it. I asked her something. I don't remember the specific question I asked her, and I know why I asked the question, because I was anticipating that my boyfriend at the time was going to have some sort of excuse. So I asked her something about the buyers, and I remember, and somehow, again, forgive me, I don't remember the question I asked her, but the answer was that it was an older white couple. So I get off the phone with her, I record an audio diary, and in the audio diary, I specifically say, okay, there is no house. He's going to have to get out of this lie somehow. Because now I realize, at the very least, he was lying about him being the one who was under contract. I knew enough about that. So I was like, what, how was he going to get out of this? Again, I've listened to the audio diary in 2024. I literally said in that audio diary, how is he going to get out of this lie? And I was trying to think of ways on how he's going to do it. And something said to me, because I say it on the audio diary, I said, he's going to say it's a bad deal. And he's going to say he wants to pull out.
Well, why would you even give him the opportunity? Like, if you know at this point it's a lie, right? You know that it's an older white couple that has bought this house. There isn't enough patience in this world that I would have had, right? To even entertain the thought of what he might say. Oh, no, no, no. No. Instant. As soon as I got off the phone with the realtor, it would have been a straight call. Yo, I just got off the phone with such and such and such and such. And they told me that the house was sold to an older white couple. That is not us. So what's good? I'm not caring about what story you're going to conjure up. What the fact is, you lied. Mama, you really gonna sit here and give this dude space to lie to your face?
Y'all keep in mind, I am pregnant. So I had a decision to make. As ugly as this decision was, I made the decision, you're about to have a baby with this man. He's paying all the household bills. Let him get out of the lie. And that's what I did. I purposely made the decision that I knew he was going to come back, and I knew he was going to give me some bullshit on why he couldn't buy the house, because he didn't know that I knew that house is already sold. The house is already sold. And this is the part where I said, I'm gonna be honest, even though it's gonna make me look bad, because most women in their right mind would have been like, I'm out, and I didn't. So sure enough, he came home. He didn't really say anything that day. The next day I asked him about the house, and he said, my friend, the realtor, he was like, I'm talking to him because something's going on with the interest rate. And when he said that, I felt so much relief, because I knew that I had been prepared for, he's going to give you some bullshit. So when he said there's something with the interest rate, I said, you know what? If this is literally what I said, y'all. If the interest rate isn't good, then we shouldn't move there. We should probably let this house go. We should cancel.
But he lied, and you gave him the opportunity to lie to your face and then soothe him all at the same time. Maybe I've been doing this relationship thing all wrong, because I am very assertive. Men can say what they want, Chad. That's just me as a whole. That's what I'm saying. If I get a divorce tomorrow, your girl will be rolling dolo and okay with that. 45? Oh, listen. But to sit here and let this dude lie to your face as if that was okay. What was the reason? Girl, I hope you explain it in the last few minutes you have on this part 4. Right? Part 5.
Whatever furniture we ordered, or, appliances, and let's just look for another house. I said I would like to be moved before the end of the year. I said I really don't want to be 9 months pregnant moving into a house. I would like to be done with this before then. And the way I said it was so calm, and he was like, okay. He was like, I'm gonna call the friend, the realtor, and tell him I'm backing out of the house, and I'm gonna see if I can get my earnest money back. And I remember looking at him. I was standing in the kitchen, and I cocked my head to the side, and I said, okay, get your earnest money back, and let's find another house. And so that's how that first house fell through. So fast forward.
Another house that if you guys had made it this far in this video, please, I beg, please give this video a thumbs up. This series is bothering me, because me and my best friend talk all the time, like, nobody wants to be a certain age doing stuff that you used to do in the 20s. At least in my mind, you wouldn't want to. And I feel like they haven't even been together for a year. And some decisions were made that is very questionable as far as what she was looking for out of this, knowing that he's already been deceitful. I'm annoyed. Just how I'm going to get through the next 40-something parts, but I know it's going to get worse. But again, if you made it this far, please give this video a thumbs up. Also, let me know how you're feeling in the comment section at this point, because damn it, this girl, she's giving me angina.
Fast forward, I keep looking at this to see how much time I have, because they only give you 10 minutes. So this is part 5, part 6 is coming up, but subsequently what ends up happening the next week, which is mid-June, I was at work, and I started cramping, started bleeding. And at this point, my doctor, I had just had an ultrasound earlier that day. So I went to work because the ultrasound was fine. I went to work and the cramping and the bleeding started, and I started crying because I kind of knew what was going on. And my doctor had called me and told me that when they did the ultrasound, they did not see a heartbeat. So she was like, this pregnancy is not going to be viable. So I'm crying, hysterical, and now we're going to get into
sad.
part 6.
Shout out to her. What's her name again? Risa. I'm so sorry for your loss, for sure. I'm pretty sure that you were dealing with all types of stress, unnecessary stress, but it's like, I don't understand why there's more parts to this story, because I understand wanting to stay with a person, right? I get it. I've done that. But what I don't understand why there's 40 more parts to this story if you know this man has lied to you. So you continue this relationship after losing a baby for why? I guess we're going to see, right? Okay, we have made it to part 6. And so I think that it'll be a healthy stop for the first video to end at part 10. Not that I wanted to make 5 videos in reference to this young lady, but we're all in now. We got to find out what happened. Like, how did this dude get worse? Because I don't know. Um, this is crazy. So, okay, let's get on to it. Part 6. Where are you, kid?
Well, this is part 6 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So, where we left off. So, obviously, my doctor had called and told me there was no heartbeat. The pregnancy was not viable at that point, and I was cramping and spotting at work. Went into my best friend's office and immediately started crying. She was like, "What's going on?" And I said, I told her what the doctor said, and she grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and was like, "Let's go, I'm taking you home." On my way home, I called my boyfriend and told him what the doctor said, and he was like, "I'll meet you at home." So he was coming from Duluth, went straight home. And so about 24 or 48 hours later, I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor gave me 3 options. First option, let everything happen naturally. Your body will expel the fetus on its own. Second option, you can take a pill which will induce expelling the fetus at home. The pill basically will cause you to contract and expel. The third option was to go into the hospital and do a D&C. I did not want to do a D&C because I did not want to be in a hospital with COVID going on. And for whatever reason, I did not do the option of let it happen naturally. So I chose to do the pill. His birthday was June 17th. My ex's birthday was June 17th. So the decision was made, we're going to celebrate his birthday that day, go out to eat. And then that night I would take the pill because we both were off from work the next 2 or 3 days. So went out to eat to try to celebrate as best we could, and then took the pill that night. That night was the most traumatic, excruciating pain I've ever put my body through. I do not recommend any woman, if prayerfully you don't have to go through that, but I don't recommend taking that pill. If you don't have to, don't do it. I spent the whole night in the bathroom just crying in so much pain. They gave me a narcotic. I couldn't take it because I found out I was allergic to it, so it was causing me to like projectile vomiting, and it was a mess. So, and he was right there. You know, he was scared that he needed to take me to the ER, but in the morning, the pain kind of subsided. So about 72 hours later, I had another doctor's appointment where the purpose of this appointment was to do an ultrasound to see if everything had passed. Everything did not pass. So because of that, my doctor was like, we're going to have to do a DNC. My DNC was scheduled for the first week of July. My boyfriend, my ex, was going to take me. That was always the plan. 2 days before my procedure, he comes home and tells me that he is up for a promotion. He's up to be promoted to VP. Because of this, the president of the company, excuse me, is coming in, and it was going to be this huge business meeting he had to go to. The business meeting was scheduled for the day of my surgery. And so I'm throwing a fit because I was like, you there's no way you can do that meeting. Like, I need you to take me to the hospital and all this other stuff. And so he offered to have his sister take me to the hospital. Apparently his sister lived in Douglasville. I was like, no, because I've never met her. Like, I'm not having a stranger take me to the hospital. No, this is a private situation. I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. So my aunt.
So here it is going on 4 months. And you said apparently he had a sister who lived in Douglasville and you've never met her? Very odd, at least in my opinion, very odd. Yeah, I don't know how that isn't mentioned out the gate, and why didn't he stay with his sister for quarantine if she lives in Douglasville?
So my aunt had offered to take me, and then my friend who took me home from work had offered to take me. So at that point, we get into an argument because he's like, my sister is, you about your family, so why can't she step in? And I was like, nah, because I don't know her. Period. I don't know her. So my friend offers to take me to the hospital because I was all distressed that he's saying he has a business meeting and he can't take me. So I remember being on I-75 on the connector on the phone with her crying because I was so embarrassed that he wasn't going to be the one to take me and that I was needing to rely on someone else to take me to the hospital in order to get a...
So I can understand that though. If he's about to be promoted to vice president and this company, whoever he worked for, trust him enough to promote him to have bigger and greater responsibilities. This is a loss of a child. However you see that in your world, right? Fetus, embryo, whatever have you, it's a loss, especially when you guys anticipated to keep the child. It's a loss, right? So they wouldn't allow him to take the time off or at least come do the meeting the next day or later on that day after the procedure. Yeah, I would have been vexed too. Ain't gonna sit here lie.
Get a DNC done. And she was really great. She was like, girl, this is why you have a village. Like, it's okay. Things happen. The world is crazy right now. I will take you. You're going to be okay. So he did not take me to the hospital for my DNC. My friend did. She could not stay because of COVID protocol. So when they wheeled me into pre-op after I got checked in, I texted him and was just letting him know, hey, here's the update. I'm about to, I'm in pre-op. They're going to get me prepared to go back to the surgical ward or whatever. And the response I got was from his new executive assistant named David. Now, when he told me he was up for the promotion, he did tell me that part of getting this new job would be that he would get an executive assistant named David. And he did tell me, I'm going to make sure that I inform David, if you get a text from this number, meaning from me, pull me out of the meeting because, my fiance's having a procedure done and I'm picking her up. So it's important that you come get me if it's something serious.
Hold on. When did he propose? Now, we've been looking at this. We're in part 6. So did I doze off? Did I daydream? When did he propose? it's giving annoyance.
So I text him. David responds. He said, "Yeah, Mr. Blah Blah told me that you are having a procedure done. If you need me to get him, I can go get him. He's in a meeting. Just let me know what you need." And I just said, "No, don't bother him. I'm just giving an update that they're about to take me back." And David responds and says, "I'm so sorry you're going through this. Please let me know if there's anything I can do." So I have the procedure. I wake up and I am now in recovery. I should be in recovery 45 minutes up to an hour and a half. I wake up, first thing I ask, and I remember asking, is where is so and so? The nurse, who was so sweet, she was like, "Everything went well. You're doing great." She said, "We spoke to your fiance. He's on his way." So I said, okay, okay. I kind of dozed back out, but I could still hear everything that was going on. I just could not keep my eyes open to save my life. So I hear her talk to the other nurse. And that's when she said, "Yeah, Dr. So-and-so called her fiance and his executive assistant picked up. And the executive assistant said that he was in a business meeting and that, you could relay to him what you need to say, and he'll tell the fiance." And my doctor was like, "Hell no, HIPAA. I need to speak to him." So apparently my fiance called the doctor back about 30 minutes later, and the doctor informed him she'll be ready to be discharged in about an hour. You can make your way and come pick her up. He said he was on his way. He was on his way from Duluth to Atlanta, which is not a huge distance, but the time of day, one thing about Atlanta, there's always traffic. So he should have been there within the hour. I should have only been in recovery an hour and a half. Let's go to the next part.
So based on how she just ended this part 6, this dude done left her at the hospital, because she is right. I used to live in Atlanta. There's always traffic. And if he left her at the hospital and we still have freaking 40 plus parts left, it's like, you know what? Why are we doing this? Why am I even reacting to this? Okay, let's go on to part 7. Jesus. Okay, we have part 6. She has a clarification video that I'm not interested in getting. I don't really care about whatever clarification she has to give. I mean, I really don't. And part 8, I guess that was a part 7. Yeah, so let's go to part 8.
Part 8 of Who the Fuck Did I Meet? So we submitted an offer on the house in Smyrna. I sent it over to Scott.
Okay, hold on. Maybe we need to. Okay. So I kind of like skimmed through the clarification video. I didn't get any it doesn't jump back into the hospital recovery story. I don't know if she's going to when I started part 8, it didn't start off that way. So let's just see where she goes with this. The clarification may be important to put in here, but it's just more of a background on this dude. And no, just you should have led with that one.
All right, part 8 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So we submitted an offer on the house in Smyrna. I sent it over to Scott, our realtor, and next day comes, Scott asks if we can take a phone call. So he calls us and tells us that the offer was not accepted and the builder did not do a counter offer. We don't exactly know why. We don't exactly know why he didn't accept it, but the bottom line is that we figured out later on that he didn't want to finish the basement. So the offer was not accepted. The house fell through. I was okay with that because, again, I knew he had put in an offer. So we continued looking at other houses. We found another house in Smyrna that he really liked. I thought that it was way too big for just the two of us. And so the price of this home was much higher than the $750,000 that Chase had approved for the mortgage. So, what he explained to me was that he was willing to do the $750,000 mortgage, and he was also willing to put a significant amount of the money in savings on the house, which meant that he was now comfortable going from 750,000 up to about 900,000. Again, his whole explanation was, I have the money where I can put down a substantial down payment, bring down the price of the home, and then basically mortgage the rest of it. So that was now the plan.
I'm annoyed at the fact that I don't know what happened to this point, right? So I don't know if I don't want to go back to the clarification because even when I started that video, it wasn't saying much. It was just giving a brief history on who this dude was, where he was from, when did he talk to his family, this, that, and the third. So I don't know how we left the hospital and now we're buying a new house. And so we're missing some parts.
I was not comfortable with a home over $900,000. But again, keep in mind, I saw the Chase paperwork. So I was like, I just feel more comfortable sticking at the 750,000 mark.
So hold on, we're back to letting this dude do all the talking without you being present. What am I missing? What did we not learn from the last situation? Again, the only reason why I'm criticizing at this point, one, because I'm annoyed. Two, is like, okay, ma'am, you've gone through this already. Why are you letting this dude do all the talking and just showing you paperwork and you not be involved?
By this point, this is now fall of 2020. We had been talking about marriage. I had my ring. He had made VP at the company. And again, he was calling me every day from work. I need to kind of explain how the company was ran, because when you think VP, you would think he would be in an office. It was a condiment company, so they actually were producing the condiments, and I'm not saying the name of the company on purpose, but they were producing the condiments in this particular plant location. So a lot of times he would simply tell me that he walked the floor, checking in with his subordinates, basically. Now, how did he go to work? For the most part, at this point, he left before I woke up.
For a VP on the day-to-day, be in a warehouse, factory, anywhere, just walking and checking with folks? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's how that works. So they're usually in the office, right?
He left before I woke up. However, pretty much he wore dress pants, kind of like a dark navy blue cargo pant, and he had a polo shirt with the company logo on it. What I saw a lot of times is that he would not wear the polo shirt to work. He would wear like a company t-shirt. He would wear rubber sole shoes and the navy blue cargo pants. I didn't think it was a uniform, but it reminded me of what someone would wear when I worked at Amazon, if you're going to be doing manual labor. He didn't go to work sloppy looking at all, but it definitely was not suit and tie. Nowhere near suit and tie. It is fair to note that outside of work, he was a man who he loved to dress. He loved to wear the latest Jordans. He loved to collect watches. He collected a lot of Invicta watches. He loved to collect hats. He wore hats, baseball caps everywhere because he didn't like the shape of his head. So in terms of how he dressed casually, the man, he could dress. In terms of how he dressed for work, yeah, he didn't dress like a VP. But his excuse was, I'm constantly walking the production floor and I can't.
But why would you have to? When I tell you that I am giving this young lady all types of grace, I think her and I are what in age, but she might be a little younger. So anyway, I'm gonna say young lady because the mentality is giving me very young. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Some of y'all gonna have to be mad at me because I'm laughing because I feel like this is dumb. I'm laughing because what did it have to take? Now, mind you, we've all dealt with people who gave us bullshit, who sit here and just did way too much that none of us should tolerate, right? We've all been through that. I get it. At this point, right, she has met an individual. A brief recap, because this part 8, right? Part 8 is almost over. He has lied about a house. I don't know what happened to the whole hospital thing. I wanted to know what happened to that, but I'm only gonna assume he didn't make it there on time to pick her up while she was in recovery. You guys unfortunately lost your child. These are all things that God put in position for you to get out. And you kept wanting to stay with this individual, and I don't understand why. When someone is a vice president of a company, why would they be roaming the floors? You should have other responsibilities other than managing the floors. That's why you have managers, supervisors, assistant supervisors, project managers, whatever the hell. You have certain people in place so then you don't have to do that. So this dude didn't wear a suit and tie. He's a VP roaming the floors. And not one time do you question, hey, this dude is doing a bit more lying than necessary. All right, let's continue, chill. I can't.
Be in a suit and tie walking the production floor where they're creating the condiments that we're selling. So by this point, again, this is fall. We're still looking at houses. We're still touring houses as much as we can because it is COVID. We had found another house that we really liked and a house that I really truly wanted to put an offer in on. This was now going to be the second house that we put an offer on. He put in the asking price, I believe, was about $700,000. He put in under asking an offer for about $650,000. I'm guessing, but I'll try to find the house and put it on the story.
Why would you be guessing? Again, we still didn't learn from the first go round that you need to be involved in this. Ma'am, when I say this whole story has me do I even want to continue listening to this? I don't know. I want to know how it ends, but I feel like I'm gonna be more mad at her than I am at him. And I don't want that for her. I don't want y'all to think that I'm heartless or whatever. And I know what it's like to I don't know, I've been with the same person for so long, I just dream about being alone. I'm a hopeless romantic too. I love the thought of love and the things that go along with it, right? But at some point, this chick had so many outs that it's aggravating to me that she's even here to tell 450-part stories about it. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. It's crazy to me.
The reason that house fell through, we found out that the home was sitting on a septic tank. We found out that the septic tank had an issue and it would have taken about $15,000 to $20,000 to fix the septic tank. The sellers were not willing to fix the septic tank. Personally, I didn't really care for the house that much. I'm the one who was like, I don't really want it. So even though we put an offer in, we had 24 hours where we could pull our offer back. And so we did. Once we found out, I believe it was in the disclosure. And if you're a realtor, please feel free to tell me if I'm using the wrong terminology. But I believe it was in the disclosure that they told us the septic tank needs to be replaced. That's when I was like, nah, I don't want that house. So we pulled out. The house fell through. And so I was fine with it because, again, I was heavily involved. I saw him sign the offer. I knew every step of what was going on. Our real estate agent, Scott, was amazing, but you will see when I get to it where he made a mistake as a real estate agent. So house number 2 fell through. We then moved on, saw a few more houses, and then we get to house number 3. I'm going to pause talking about the houses because now I need to introduce what happened with the cars. Stay tuned.
Okay, well, at least she was more okay, so I'll take back what I had said. So, at least she was more involved with that particular house, so I'm sorry. I'll take that back because homegirl was starting to really pluck my nerves with the non-involvement of, picking these houses and having a say so and just knowing what's happening. So, we're going to what? Part 9? Who is this even her page? Because everything seems so off.
Let me tell you about the car. So when I met my ex-husband, I was driving a 2012 Nissan Rogue, fully loaded. It had quite a few miles on it, but it got me from A to B. It was in good condition, but I was upside down in the car. He was driving a 2018 Ford Taurus, sport mode. I know he had a sport mode on the car, and I love driving that car. When he told me how he was a regional manager, he told me that one of the perks that came with the job was that he would be getting a company car. And so we spent time going to Range Rover of South Atlanta. We spent time going to Jaguar. We spent time going to BMW. We spent time going to Ford, which was on Mount Zion in Morrow, if you all are familiar with that area. He test drove a whole lot of cars. In the end, he decided on a BMW sedan. I was there when he test drove the car. I got in the car with him. I loved it. And he explained to the salesperson, I'm getting a company car. I need to get a printout of the full price of the car, tax, tag, and title. Because what my company is going to do is wire over the money for the car. The salesperson was like, okay, apparently that happens a lot. So he gave him a printout with the tax, tag, and title for the car. In front of me and the salesperson, he called the person in the finance department for his job. Obviously, I have no idea what this person's name is, but he called the person. He explained to them, this is the amount of money. He said the president of the company, so-and-so, has authorized for him to get a car, not spending more than, I think, $90,000 tax, tag, and title. The BMW came out to just under $90,000. And so...
What company is this? I thought when you got company cars, they already had cars for you to drive that are already there, not you go look for one and then they essentially buy it.
I remember this conversation so fucking vividly. So he's on the phone in front. I'm sitting down, the salesperson sitting down at their desk, and he's like, they put me on hold. And so he's like, I guess the person comes back and he says, the price of the car is blah, blah, blah. He was like, give me a second and I can send you a picture of that printout that shows tax, tag, and title for the BMW. He gets off the phone. He takes a picture of it. He sends it to whoever. He waits about 10 minutes.
Listen, this thing is so long that I filled up a whole SD card. So I was on part 9 on the first. I don't even know where it cut off at. And since I'm just keeping this going, I'm just going to pick up where I think we left off at.
He waits about 10 minutes. He calls the person back. He says, did you get it? Apparently the person did get it. But the person who can actually physically do the wire transfer had gone home for the day. So what he says to the BMW salesperson, he's like, okay, we're going to have to do this tomorrow because so-and-so went home for the day. I don't know who the salesperson is. I can only tell you from my viewpoint what I thought. I had no reason to think this was a lie. I really didn't. Because again, you got to please keep in mind the circumstances that all of this is happening. We're inside the dealership. We're sitting at the desk of this person. He gave us the printout. He's on the phone, doing business, basically saying, look, this is how much money the car is going to cost. He's taking a picture of it. He seemingly is texting someone saying, this is how much you know, this is proof of how much it is. Then he asked the BMW salesperson, I need your wire transfer information. The guy got up, rushed over to, I guess, their finance area to get the bank wire information, because obviously you have to wire it a certain kind of way. Rushes back over, gives it to my ex-husband. My ex-husband's like, okay, first thing in the morning, we will get this wired over, and then, you know, I'll come and pick up the car. My fiance, me, will drive me up here to pick up the car. So we leave. He felt like, because at the time that this all happened, I was pregnant. So he felt like, look, we're about to have a baby. I don't want you driving that Nissan Rogue. I want to get you something. I want to get you something.
I'm trying to follow what's happening, because at this point, it's not that I'm losing interest, because I want to see how this thing ends, but it's at the point where, girl, I'm trying to follow your story, and it's coming off like you're all over the place. I understand you want to come out and tell, share this foolery. Why? I don't know. There might be a reason, like, to let people know to be careful about who you date on these online sites or whatever.
Something more secure, something new. I really wanted a Kia. I really wanted a Kia Telluride. And he was like, well, let's look at the warranty. This man knew a lot about cars. He knew a lot about the warranty. He knew a lot about the depreciation value. And so he did talk to me a lot about what will we get the most for our money. We test drove, when I say we, I test drove a Kia Telluride, a Kia Sorento. He didn't like either of those. He had me test drive a Ford Explorer. He didn't really care for that. Then came time where he really wanted me to get a BMW. He really wanted me to get a BMW X5. So he took me to Global BMW Imports, which, if you know anything about Atlanta, it's off of Cobb Parkway, but you can see it off the highway. I believe 285 is where you can see the Global Imports BMW dealership. He took me there. He had me test drive an X5, an X6. He also had me test drive I think I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, a 525, which was a sedan. I did not like that. I wanted an SUV. I loved driving the BMW. He also had me drive an M-Series, test drive an M-Series. So he was very adamant that I should get a BMW. The reason being is because, according to him, he had a BMW in California when he lived in San Diego. He had a BMW that he loved. It was a white BMW.
But hold on, I'm confused. Why are we back at the BMW dealership? Did he ever get the BMW that his company is supposed to wire money to go purchase? How did we get back here without him getting his car?
He showed me pictures of the BMW. So he showed me pictures of this white BMW that he had, and unfortunately, the car got totaled about 2 months before he moved to Georgia. So he had received money, not a lot, but some money to get another car, and he used it to get the Ford Taurus, because he was like, I just need a car that's going to get me from A to B until I get into a house and I'm much more settled. For him, he was like, I'm really giving myself 60 days to get settled here in Georgia after moving from California. But then he met me. Again, that's the story. So he had me test drive the BMW. So much so, I loved the BMW. Loved it. I wanted a dark blue BMW with cognac interior. I wanted an X5, and I wanted an M Series. So I can clearly tell y'all that's exactly the car I wanted. We were online looking for that particular car because not every dealership had it. I was okay with a black BMW if needed. But I really wanted dark blue, and I really wanted that cognac colored interior. So he felt like, I want you to consider all of a sudden an Audi Q8. Let's just see how you like it. If you don't really like it, then we will go back to the BMW. I cannot tell you why he switched up. I can't. But I can tell you he took me to an Audi dealership on Peachtree Industrial. He test drove an Audi and I test drove an Audi Q8. I loved the Q8. Loved it, loved it, loved it. But I was tired of test driving cars. By this point, I had test driven so many cars. Our weekends were spent either looking at a house or test driving cars. And I was picky, I will admit that. So he had me test drive the Q8. I really liked it. I finally just told him, look, I'm good with either the BMW or the Audi, because I'm tired of test driving cars. He told my family he was buying me a new car because, keep in mind, not keep in mind, let me let y'all know, he had met my family initially on Zoom because, again, we were locked down. He had met my family. He also had met my family in person because at this point it was like, look, if you're not showing any symptoms, maybe we can do family dinner. And so we had. So he had met my family in person. And now we will go ahead and move towards part 10 of this series.
In my mind, I'm thinking that the only reason why she might be doing this, and even if she knows that he's back out here dating and he's being manipulative or whatever have you, who knows the reason? But we better go on to part 10, and that's where we're going to end it. And then we'll come back and do the part 2. I don't know how I'm going to do this for the part 2 because I feel like it's just long. It's long. And I know that people have reacted to this, but I don't know how they got through 50 parts of this, because I'm like, just want to ask her so many questions in person. Like, how did we get this far into the relationship? And it just, the way she's telling the story, she hasn't even gotten through the first year with dude. Here we go with part 10.
Part 10. Who the fuck did I marry? Okay, had to sneeze. All right, so at this point, I had test driven all these cars. Kias. Hell, he even had me test drive a Nissan Murano. But the main two were BMW and an Audi. He had told my grandfather he was getting me a car. He had told my aunt he was getting me a car. That he was going to, he was like, she's going to be my wife. I want her to be in something secure. So my family was really like, wow, wow. Who knew that he had this kind of money? And so I hated the fact that he did that, because anytime he got around my family, here's another red flag to put in the United Nations of red flags. He would always talk about money, and he would always brag. I never realized it in real time. I didn't realize it until I was out of the situation. He always bragged about the fact that he could fight, the fact that he had money, and the fact that he played football. Those are the 3 things he always bragged about. Back to the cars. So I told him, I was like, pick one between the BMW and the Audi, because you said you buying it. So pick one. So this man chose the Audi. So he takes me to the dealership. I wanted a white Q8. He does give me the printout of how much it's going to cost, tax, tag, and title, to get this Q8. Gentleman who's helping us gives him the printout. He's saying he's going to pay this money for the car out of the savings account that's offshore. That's the story. That's what he's saying. So he apparently...
Why does he have an offshore savings account? Okay, maybe I watched too many documentaries, too many gangster movies or whatever, but I associate offshore savings accounts, checking, whatever it is, with gangster stuff. So if you're just a VP at a condiment warehouse company or whatever, why we have an offshore account? Listen, and I'm only asking because I'm uneducated on it. If someone could let me know down in the comment section too, what would be the reason for you to have an offshore account if you're a regular individual? Let me know, because I don't know.
It's asking the guy, is there a holding fee? Can I pay a holding fee to secure this car while I'm working to get the money transferred? Because obviously with COVID, it's going to take long for the banks to transfer the money. Side note, I need everyone to understand, One of the reasons why he was able to get away with the stuff he got away with is because we were on lockdown. It's crazy because it's now 2024, but I don't know, do we all remember how it seemed like a lot of stuff stopped in 2020? Now, keep in mind, that's not an excuse I'm making because shit still got done. But in terms of business as usual just was not happening in 2020 at this time. So when he's saying, oh, it's going to take a while for the bank to transfer the money, the gentleman who was working at Audi he didn't make a face. He didn't blink. He was like, I know it's going to take a while because of COVID. So basically what ends up happening is we leave. He has the printout. He calls the bank, or he calls his financial advisor, who does have a name. The financial advisor's name is Eric. I feel comfortable using certain people's names, especially if we find out they didn't exist. So he calls Eric. He tells Eric in front of me, hey, I need to transfer $72,526, whatever the amount was, because I'm buying.
I know there's wealthy people out there, right? But the fact that he felt that he had this in cash, what I'm saying, he had this sitting in his account. You guys haven't bought a house yet, and he wants to invest $72,000 on a vehicle. Even if you really wanted that car, common sense, it was like, hold on. I thought we were supposed to purchase a house. Why are we buying a car if we have yet to get this house we've been looking for and going to open houses left and right? What are we doing? Yet, like, your priorities are jacked up. I'm truly confused because I'm like, why isn't this like dawning on her at this point? Well, maybe it is. Let's continue.
Buying a car for my fiance. This is the bank account information. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone, or do you need me to email it to you? Pause. I can't hear what the person's saying, but that's what he would do. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone, or can I email it to you? Okay. All right, give me a few minutes and I'll go ahead and email it to you. All right, let me know. I'll call you back to find out if you received it. Okay, hang up. So I'm hearing this because, again, I'm not paying attention to, did I hear anybody on the other phone? Did I hear anybody on the other end? So he proceeds to type up an email, type up something, telling him this is the information that we need. I didn't think anything of it. He called me at work the next day to tell me that the money was sent to Audi, that he called Audi and he confirmed with Audi that they received the money. What he told me is that the car is going to be delivered to the house. Y'all, it's not that I lived in the hood, because I didn't, but I did not live in an area of Clayton County where you would have a brand new Audi delivered to your house. So I remember saying to him, I don't want that car like delivered to the house, not yet, because I need to put that car in the garage. And my Nissan I only had a one car garage, so my Nissan was in the garage. So he said, okay, well, let me call them back and change the delivery date. Can you be home, or can you do a half day? So he's asking me, can you work a half day so that they can deliver the car and you will be home for it? I said, yes, that's fine. Because again, it's COVID. I'm working from home anyway. I only had to go in the office 2 days a week. So I'm at home the next day. He told me the car would be delivered between the hours of 1 and 3. Obviously, between 1 and 3, nothing happened. So 3 o'clock, I called him. He's at work. He sends me the voicemail. He calls me back. I said, it's 3 o'clock. No one ever came with the car. What's going on? And then I remember I was like, well, do I need to call Audi myself? Because I thought that you handled it. But if you didn't handle it, do I need to call them? And so whenever I would suggest I will handle it, he would get very, very defensive. Red flag number 472. So he was like, no, I will call Audi. Don't do anything. I'll call Audi and find out what's going on. Okay.
This is where it's like, it's beyond dumb. The fact that he made me, if I was her, the fact that you made me waste some money, you made me take time off to sit at my house from 1 to 3 to wait on a delivery that you know damn good and well that was not going to happen, right? I would have not called him to follow up on what was going on with the delivery. Oh no, I remember going to the Audi dealership. I know the location. I will call my damn self. If I know my fiance's name, full name, right? At this point, I'm hoping that she knew it. Call and would have been like, listen, I'm expecting a delivery. No one showed up with my car. My fiance said that he dropped $72,000 on this car. Where is it at? Point blank, period, the end. But all I would have done was with a text. I would have texted him after I called because at this point we already know he has lied and I don't have time to follow up with dude. I'm going to call myself. The fact that she's calling him still it's grinding my gears because I'm like, listen, what else did you need to hear or see that this dude is a liar? Part 10 is almost done. And again, I wasn't trying to get annoyed with her. I promise you, I really wasn't. But it's like, girl, and I'm going to go after I do this first part of my video. I'm going to see if I'm the only person that feels not enraged because it's not my life, right? But annoyed that she recognized all the things that should have said, okay, enough is enough. I'm moving on. I'm done, right? Because you are a liar. But she got to the point where she married him. Because at this point, they still engaged or whatever have you. Like, what are we doing? What did he have to say for you to convince, like, what did he have to say to convince you to marry him?
Do anything, I'll call Audi and find out what's going on. Okay. So I'm at home chilling, cooking dinner, normal night. He calls me back and says, yeah, the car was stuck on the truck in Spartanburg because apparently that's where their deliveries come from. So when he told me this, I was in the kitchen laughing because by this point, I will be honest, and I told y'all I'll be honest even when it makes me look bad. I was guilty of, on one hand, I believed him, and on the other hand, I was like, let me see what lie he come up with. Let me just see. But keep in mind, my brain was really like not rationalizing, not comprehending how deep the lie was. I just thought that no one told him the car was going to be delivered, and he made that up. I had no idea how deep the lie went. So he said, you know, the car's in Spartanburg. It should be delivered this weekend. The weekend came, he had a whole other excuse. I don't remember what the exact excuse was as to why the car was never delivered. I do remember we got into an argument and I was like, don't even worry about it. I'm gonna get a new car my damn self. I don't even need your help. Which is probably one of the worst things you can tell a narcissist because they love to be the hero, you know, it's all about them.
But at this point, what did he do that was heroic? Heroic? What did he do that would have made you say, you know what, my man got it? Because all you have listed was a bunch of lies that he has told you. And at this point, there was nothing that would indicate that he was, you know, a man that was that stood on business, that did what he was supposed to do for him and his family. There was nothing that indicated that. So what are we talking about?
But I was like, don't even worry about it. I'll get when I have the money to get a car myself, I'll do it. I don't want to hear anything else about a new car. I don't want to hear shit else about a car. Because at this point, I was spending way too much time trying to figure out, are we getting a car? Are we getting a house? Like, what the fuck is going on? Always there was an excuse. So when I told him I don't want to hear anything else about a car, and I am not going to a dealership to test drive another car, that ended that whole discussion right there. So this is where I'm going to interject what I believe was happening. I believe that my ex-husband is the type of person, he gets off, nut. He gets off on you being excited about something that he knows you will never get. So I believe that he enjoyed going to car dealerships. He enjoyed watching me test drive a car and get excited about it, knowing I was not going to get it. It is the level of cruelty. And again, I'm telling y'all stuff that I found out way later on. It is the level of cruelty that I still cannot comprehend. So the whole issue about the BMW and the Audi, I think he just enjoyed seeing me get excited and then pull it away. Part 11 coming up.
Yeah, that was a lot. So we made it through. I guess it was like more 8 parts because there was pieces of this thing that was missing. But we got through the first 10 parts of this whole thing. What did you guys think? Like, but is it me? Because I just feel like this girl waited way too long to see if there was any good in this individual. Again, I don't understand how we even got to the I do. How did we even get to a divorce? Like, none of that should have ever occurred. Now, I've never been with a person who got off on watching me get excited about things that I couldn't buy myself. Because to this day, my husband, after 16 years, if there's something that I really, really want, I am not waiting on anyone to get it for me. The fact that this person had her going from dealership to dealership, house to house, and nothing was happening, there wouldn't have been, like, him and me and this person, we wouldn't continue. Because I'm like, what game are you playing, my dude? Like, what are we doing? But she wanted to see what kind of lie he was going to come up with. So that's not really healthy behavior either, man. Because you're putting yourself through unnecessary stress, knowing that this guy is stringing you along. Because this is crazy to me. In my opinion, right now, I feel like she was playing games too, because she waited too long. She waited too long. She was hoping for the best, but she saw that nothing was happening. Nothing was coming from the situation, and she was just seeing what story he was coming up with. So you put yourself through mental anguish unnecessarily, in my opinion. That's how I feel as of right now. I could, I might be wrong. I might be reading this thing completely wrong. So again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you're going to come back for part 2. If you're not going to come back for part 2, honey, I promise you, I won't. I'll listen to everything on my own and not do this. But I am interested. And if you are interested yourself in submitting something to Talk Your Spit, I'm leaving the email again down here. Submit your issue. It could be love issues, relationship issues that you're going through, work issues that you have going on, that you want to talk about your boss anonymously. And we can all process it through. I am a very honest individual. I'm going to speak my mind on how it's delivered to me. And but I also am going to give grace. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Please share and subscribe, and I will definitely catch you again in part 2. Talk to you later. Bye.
Coming to kick your ass, baby. Come on.
Live and direct on your stereo set, the rousing